Hi there. It's, I think, the 13th capture of my first selfie video. But I think it's an important topic, so I wanted to talk to you about and guide you a little bit through what we are doing at Sensoryx, and especially how it compares to state of the art, basically what the competition is doing. So if you're in the XR space, so VR, AR, MR, you might have seen people interacting with the virtual content. Sometimes they do it with the hands. If you have tried it, you know the basically deficiencies or the stuff which doesn't work, pointing away. It's very not really stable most of the time. Depends on lighting condition heavily. So still the go-to way of how to interact with the virtual content are controllers. This one is from Meta. It's the Meta Quest 3 controller. Actually, I like the device, I like the shape. But there are others. I mean, there's tools like the Logitech Pencil, MX Ink, and they all work basically with the same principle. And we can call that principle constellation tracking. Constellation tracking means that you have a known pattern of LEDs on the device itself. So there's some invisible LEDs that emit light in the infrared spectrum, which your eyes can't perceive, but the cameras of the headsets can. And because the system knows about the actual configuration, so how these LEDs are placed on the device, they're able to reconstruct the pose, which means the orientation and position in space relative to the headset while you're using those controllers. Same thing here. There's a gazillion of LEDs around the body of this pencil, and that allows you to use the pen pretty decently. These approaches have advantages, so you just need a camera, but they also have significant disadvantages, which will become relevant, especially in the very near future, if we talk about devices like future AR glasses. And those difficulties, so to say, are that it's basically heavily depending on lighting condition in the environment. So if you're in environments where you have a lot of moving lights, where you have a lot of specular highlights, which are changing all the time, those approaches are going to fail. A second important thing is that you need to have at least a significant amount of coverage. So basically, you have to see a significant amount of the LEDs in order to estimate where the controller is. So if I cover most of it, it's going to have the algorithm is going to have a hard time figuring out where the controller is. I'm going to show you in a second what I mean by that. And last but not least, the computation is very complicated. So basically, you can think of, you have an image with some dots on it. You have some estimate on how the controller is placed, but you still need to kind of figure out actually, if you want to be very accurate, how it's actually placed relative to the headset. And that requires pretty heavy AI algorithms boosted with deep learning. But in the end, that has an impact on battery life. And last but not least, also on size of your device. But for those kind of applications, you need a big battery and you need pretty big CPUs in order to just be able to calculate the position of the controllers. So what does Sensoryx differently? Sensoryx uses a combination of ultrasound, possibly one infrared LED, and of course also the inertial measurement units. So you see it here, for example, on our Maliang Magic Pencil. That's a prototype. We have one emitter, which is active at one time. So we have actually two to rotate it, but basically we have one for this specific device. We have one LED, which is active, and we have an inertial measurement unit, basically which gives you orientation in space. The advantages of that is that we are more robust against any disturbances in light. So we don't care whether you're in sunlight, we don't care about specular highlights because we do have another modality, so to say. We can still measure the position using only ultrasound. One of the other advantages, which I already pointed out to, is we can build very small devices. So here, the device difference or the size difference is not as obvious, but basically, if we look at it, that's the same technology. So we are able to track down to the sub-millimeter the position and orientation down to the sub-degree of this device. We call it spatial tag. So what you're proposing is an alternative way of tracking controllers, tracking input for XR content, because of the small size, but also something I pointed out before, because of the very low complexity in how we calculate the actual position. So we have systems running where we do the whole calculations on a microcontroller for up to 10 or let's say 15 units at the same time. So with our technology, you will be able to build headsets, future headsets, which don't require a lot of battery power to just do the input tracking. And also something I pointed out before, in terms of stability, we don't need a lot of coverage of multiple LEDs. So for example, for this pen where we have two emitters, we have one in the front, one in the back, you're completely fine pointing exactly away from the point of view, or you're able to basically point in your direction and still be able to use it. And I'm going to show you in a second why current approaches basically fall apart if you use the tools in a way that basically they're not supposed to be used. So you might hold it like this, you might hold it like this as a surgeon. And for professional applications especially, there's no way why your technology should dictate how the user is going to hold your tools. So if you're interested in basically exploring possibilities of the spatial tag, so that's a device we're going to sell soon, you can easily embed it. We have our custom-made tracker module, which is pretty small, or we're working on integrations into major headsets. So once you're integrated, you can just use those tools. You can use 10 at the same time, you can use 15 at the same time, and track the orientation and position in space relative to the headset. So if you're interested in either incorporating our technology, be it in the XR space, or incorporating it just by using our tools like the modeling magic pencil, like the spatial tag, or other things we're going to reveal very soon at AWE, then please contact us, drop us a mail, contact me on LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to talk about integration projects. And in the remainder of the video, I'm going to show you the comparison of our technology and why Constellation tracking fails. Thank you very much. In this video, you can see how our technology performs when you hold the devices in a way they're not supposed to be held. So you hold it like a laser pointer, only minimal coverage of device is present. We still need a little bit coverage, of course, but as long as we have some partial visibility of the ultrasound, our algorithm doesn't have any issues tracking the position. So here you can see how I hold the Logitech MX Ink in a decent way, how it's supposed to be held. And it works pretty decently, but as soon as I start putting it into orientations relative to the headsets, which are suboptimal, you can see breaks. It doesn't track anymore. And that's actually obvious because the cameras can't see the LEDs anymore. There's just not enough LEDs for the algorithm to track it. And due to the size of the device, there's no way you can fix that. You could use, again, heavy AI to kind of figure out where is the pencil in relation to the hand, but that will only, again, impact the lifetime of the battery or the runtime of the whole system, and that's definitely not something which is future-proof.